All right, we are here with another Celtics draft scouting video. Today we are looking at Kentucky wing Koby Brea, projected middle second round pick. So this would be more of a if the Celtics trade back type of thing, unless they really like him, and if even then they'd probably still trade back and get him at his projected draft slot. But Koby Brea in no ceilings draft guide right here, 6'7" listed, 6'5" wingspan. So he has a negative wingspan, which is the Desmond Bane effect. Averaged 11.6, 3.2, and 1.3 at Kentucky. He's a great shooter, comp to Sam Hauser and Kevin O'Connor's draft guide. He is listed as a three-point marksman and an off-ball mover with no athleticism and not great defense. So that is kind of like the Sam Hauser build. He's a pretty good passer for his position and his skill set, but he is basically just a pure three-point specialist. He's 22 as well, having spent 4 years in college.
Yeah, I wrote up the preview for Brea for Hardwood Houdini. We've been doing a ton of draft coverage on there. Jack, me, Bobby Kravitsky have been hitting the books for the scouting this spring, and Brea was one of the most intriguing guys to me in terms of what the value would be, and also the pseudo need for the Celtics. It's nothing in stone yet, but there's been speculation that they could look to move Sam Hauser this summer to clear $10 million or a little less in cap. And if they do decide to do that, drafting somebody that is as elite at shooting the ball as Koby Brea would be a smart hole patching, whatever step forward move you want to call it, because by all accounts, he is a versatile shooter who can move off the ball and create shots for himself despite not being that great as a ball handler. And it sounds like he's got a great starting skill set for a role player in the NBA.
Yeah, he's an elite three-point shooter. I mean, that is basically the whole package with Koby Brea. He's an elite shooter, and that's kind of what you're going to get. But sometimes that's all you really need in a prospect. So it really depends on what the Celtics are looking for, what they're going to look to replace this season. Do they trade Sam Hauser? You know, will they need another wing? Will he be available in their range? What is their range going to look like? Like, this is like a full-on second-round pick type of guy, it seems like. So, I mean, Sam Hauser was undrafted, so these types of guys do have limited value in the draft just because of the limited, section of their skill set. But then at the same time, they have the potential to turn into the Sam Hauser type. They also have the potential to turn into some of these other, like, if they're not this same 40-point shooter in the NBA, then there's really no backdrop. It's kind of like if their shot is falling, it's falling. And if it's not, then it's not. And it's kind of left there almost. Luckily for Hauser, his shot has consistently fallen throughout his career. And if Koby Brea can be that, then there's certainly a place for him in the NBA. And then you look at a guy like Duncan Robinson, who has had a little bit of a streakiness problem to him. And he's paid $17 million to not be in the Heat rotation at times. So there's an inherent danger that comes with players like this. But if you're taking a second round flyer, this is the type of guy you do it with.
And especially if Boston does that thing they love to do, which is trading back in the draft, he could be a really good option in that scenario. Especially, I don't think they have as many second round picks down the line as they might like to have, since they've used them as trade chips over the last few seasons. Restocking on those by trading back could be a move for Stevens, and Brea would be a good fit and a good value pick if they decide to do that. And just like watching the things he's doing in this tape are the kind of opportunities he would have with the Celtics. Like, I think there's an intrigue with role players in college who are almost ready-ish for whatever they would be given in the NBA. Like, I don't think there would be an ego problem or an ego hit if they were just like, yeah, just stand there and be ready if needed. Because that's pretty much what he was doing with Kentucky. Like, he thrived as somebody who was catching and shooting or moving off the ball and just not having to do a lot with it. Like, just low usage kind of for somebody that is scoring almost 12 points a game, but he's not being asked to do much. And that is the impressive thing to me.
This is fine for a guy like for a team like the Celtics. Like, if you're just looking for a role player, a guy who can shoot the ball, then there's nothing wrong with Koby Brea. The question is just, at what point do you look to take him? At what point is it worth taking him? Because, with some, if you're giving the guy a first round pick, you would like him to develop into something, consistent. If you're looking for a second round pick, like, there's a reason Sam Hauser went undrafted, right? Like, people knew how well he shot in college, but there was the worry of, can he shoot like that in the NBA? Because if he didn't, Sam Hauser would be out the league in a year. And I'm not saying I doubt Koby Brea. I'm just saying I understand why he is where he is in certain draft rankings. Like there is a inherent danger, even though shooting is the most valuable skill in the NBA, I would argue. It's the same as like a guy who can only dunk the ball, who can only play defense, who can only do this. Like having one skill is an inherently dangerous game to play in the NBA.
Oh, absolutely. And there's work to be done for Brea. Like the billing on him is he's not the best defender. He could serve to put on some weight. He's only, what is the listing here? I have it up in front of me. He's only listed at 202 pounds at almost 6'6". He could serve to put on probably 10 to 15 if he's going to be able to be an NBA defender defending grown men.
Yeah. It's tough because there's no ceilings video, so I don't have any defensive tape of Koby Brea, which is kind of like what I'd like to see. So let me pull up a Kentucky game. Kentucky men's baseball full game, because I want to see what the defense looks like, because I feel like with a guy like this who it is fully he shoots the ball and not too much else, you almost need to see what it looks like defensively, because for a guy like that to play in the NBA, you're gonna need some defense. Like it's a 3-and-D. Like the 3-point specialist only gets you so far. It's the 3-and-D guys who can really pop, and that's part of the reason why Sam Hauser has been able to stay on the Celtics in such high minute situations, is because he can play defense. He has proven himself on the defensive end. Koby Brea is number 4 here, I believe, setting an off ball screen. Then they're going to set a pin down here to get him up to the top of the key. I'm curious to see how he looks on defense. I mean, he's just starting the game off with a pull up 3. I'll find him defensively here. He's top right, guarding the corner. I'm curious if they're going to bring him into it immediately. It doesn't look like they're trying too aggressively to. But
I feel like that's also not really
the
move in college as much.
Yeah, sure. Partially, but
The Athletic put out a full draft guide today. Lots of content in there. And the defensive blurb on Brea is as follows. Defensively, Brea had good moments this year at Kentucky, but he wasn't very impactful. He tends to make solid rotations and doesn't get out of position, but there's very little in his game on defense that is disruptive. Because he doesn't have an impressive first stride, he can get beaten a bit too easily. He's not a traffic cone, but he's not great at getting his chest in front of his man and keeping it there. That lack of disruptive ability also rings true his off-ball game. If not for Will Riley, Brea's 0.9 steal rate would be the lowest in the class and will still be among the lowest for a wing drafted in the last 2 decades. So he's got work to do on defense at the very least.
Yeah, I don't even mind the steal rate thing. Like, I think steals is a bit overrated, because if you can play solid defense, like the Celtics don't generate a lot of turnovers because they play stand-up defense. So, I mean, if the biggest knock on Brea is he doesn't generate steals, that doesn't tell me too much of him as a defender. I get it as like a general indicator, but if he moves his feet all right and just can play team defense, I think that's fine. It's just a matter of, can he do that consistently enough to where teams won't pick on him? He also is a bit undersized comparatively to Sam Hauser. Like, I feel like this would be closer to a guard than a forward shooter. Sam Hauser's what, 6'8"-ish. This guy's 6'6", and I don't really know what he is without shoes. I can look at the draft combine and see exactly what he measured in as. At the combine, he measured in at 6'5.75 without shoes, with a 6'5.25 wingspan. So 201.8 weight as well. So he is definitely smaller than Sam Hauser.
And there's time with this too. Like the good news for a player like Brea, or really whoever the Celtics draft this year, is there will be probably more opportunity or more wiggle room next season to make mistakes. But the real goal that I'd imagine the front office has is to get somebody who they think is going to be ready for when Tatum is healthy again. So if you're able to put Brea on the Sam Hauser track, where, I mean, if you guys all remember, when Hauser came here, he wasn't immediately in the rotation. He had work to do. He was watching playoff games from the bench, and then he eventually earned Mazzulla's trust and became a staple. But it took some time.
Yeah, my only other thing with Koby Brea is you already have Shireman, you already have Walsh. You have Hauser still. I know there's all this trade speculation, but you still have Hauser.
Yes.
You almost run into like a clog of wings. It's the same thing that I said with Edu Thiero, even though I like Brea more than Thiero, just because I don't like the defensive guy who could be anything but an athlete. I don't know. Like, you run into this glut of we need to get Shireman minutes, but also we want to see what we have in Walsh. But we also have this rookie Brea who we just drafted with one of our 2 picks, where it's like you almost need to get out of the wing game, right? Because you also have Jaylen Brown. You're also going to have Jason Tatum, right? And a lot of this will depend on what they do before the draft, if there are moves before the draft. Because I mean, we're talking about moving up, moving down, whatever. Like we're doing all these potential trades that would involve moves before the draft. So we'll have to know by then. But I struggle to see the value of another wing unless it's a guy that you definitely think could usurp somebody. Could Brea usurp Jordan Walsh? Absolutely. Like I'm pretty, I don't know what's going to go on with Jordan Walsh. I think that type of player is a bit sketchy. And I think Brea shooting is real. And if you trade Sam Hauser, then I'm in. Like I'd be interested. I think it could be something to look at. But if you don't trade Sam Hauser and you have Hauser and Shireman, then it gets to the point of like we're replicating the same player too much on the same roster.
I think with Shireman, he gives you a little bit more than like, or let me rephrase this. He has the potential to give you more than Hauser. Hauser is a specialist. Shireman showed flashes of being able to catch and shoot, especially towards the end of last year. He definitely got his confidence up. He improved at that. He was doing the no dip threes. Like he was looking more and more ready for an NBA role. But the great thing about Shireman is he can put the ball on the floor. He's a good passer.
Yes,
like
that's not what I'm
saying. You can
saying.
ask him to do more, and so like that would allow you to kind of mix and match the lineups where maybe there's room for Brea. But the Hauser trade is important to all of this, as you said.
But my whole thing is like, even if you could mix and match, like theoretically, the lineup you're going to run is probably like, let's say they bring Cornette and Al back. It's probably going to be like usually one of those 2 on, usually Peyton and or Derek, probably Jaylen too. So that leaves like 1, maybe 2 spots. And then it's a question of, do you go guard here because of the lineup? Do you go double big here because of this? So like, there's only going to be like, you could mix and match, but there's only going to be so many minutes at the wing spot, regardless. Like they could absolutely play together because I think Shireman, like you said, can't put the ball on the floor, but it's less about can they play together and more of if there is enough minutes to go around to effectively develop all of them. And that's where I get a little iffy, especially when a guy like Brea, who has so clearly the same skill set as a guy like Sam Hauser, who is already on your roster on a pretty good contract. But we can see what Sleepers has to say. They say, let's see, strengths, role player, shooting, does what the team asks. So Koby Brea is just a shooter, purely a shooter, which is fine, right? Like there's absolutely always going to be a need for that. Weaknesses: playmaking, defending, and athleticism / burst. They say one word: unbelievable. Dead eye. I mean, he's just a sharpshooter, man. Floor, ceiling. They both say floor. Let's see. In 5 years, G League and bench player. Most likely to score 30 on a 10-day contract. Most likely to be the topic of post-summer league redrafts. Okay, let's look at best case and worst case here.
Comparison for Koby Brea. I went with Duncan Robinson.
That's a pretty good one. I also went with another former Heat player. I went with Jason Kapono.
Yeah, okay.
Just a guy who was like 6'5". Actually, Kapono might have been a little bit taller than that, but like there was a stretch there where I actually remember specifically Kapono shot like 51% from 3 on the year with the Heat. And he was just an absolute sniper. He won the 3-point contest like back-to-back seasons. He was just a prolific shooter.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. He was like NBA Live. I forget what year.
Like 05.
Always had him, yeah.
All right, let's see. Yeah. What's the floors? This is where we get sketchy.
Contributing to a playoff team. Worst case scenario comparison. I'm interested to hear what name you went with.
I worked very hard for this one, so I really want you to be proud of me on this one. This one actually hits close to home for us, Gregory. It's our GM. It's Trajan Langdon, former Duke player. Trajan Langdon, if you didn't know this, Gregory, he is the current record holder for most threes hit in Duke men's basketball history. In his career at Duke, he shot Brea's floor pretty quick.
John Diebler, brother of Jake Diebler, Ohio State's current head coach. So, John Diebler.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's just shooters who found a way to make it and shooters who didn't find a way to make it. I don't know, man. I like Koby Brea. I like the shooting. I worry about the positional fit for the Celtics if they keep Sam Hauser. If they don't keep Sam Hauser, I don't mind taking a swing on another guy who can shoot the ball. For me, it's just a question of, I feel like this is a type of draft where you almost want to take a little bit of a bigger swing because of the Tatum thing, because you're going to have those minutes. And this feels like kind of the opposite of that. This feels like, okay, let's just bring it. Like if Tatum was healthy and you're going into next season and you traded Sam Hauser for it, I would like the Koby Brea pick a lot more. But since it does feel like there's maybe a little bit more wiggle room to find somebody who could maybe be a little bit more, this almost feels like I don't know. It just feels a little bit less, obviously a little bit less fun, but also it feels like you could take a little bit of a bigger swing because of the extra playing time you're going to have. But I don't dislike it.
Yeah, I don't hate the big swing stuff. I mean, I'm currently writing a Houdini piece on, oh my goodness, Colin Murray Boyles, who is a guy that could maybe trade up for, but it just depends where he lands. So I'm all for the big swing stuff, but I feel like Brea would be a very safe pick, and you know what you're getting. You can foresee a future role for him with the Celtics, and you could send him to Maine next year and let him develop a little bit there and work with the player development team, and hopefully he's able to contribute when Tatum is back. I would put him on the B tier personally. I think he would be a decent get, but putting him on the B tier, you have to take into account Boston has probably received extra draft capital in a situation where they did draft him. Like, I don't want them to pick Brea at 32 or 28.
That's my thing. I'm doing this purely based on the draft prospect, not that the potential scenario that comes with the prospect. So as a prospect, I would probably lean a little lower because, like, if you're like, I'll put it this way: if Maxime Reynaud, Ryan Kalkbrenner, and Walter Clayton are all on the board, who are you taking? I'm taking all three of them over Brea because of the potential for them to do more stuff. So I feel like putting him on the same Yeah, exactly. So I feel like I'd put him lower just because I don't think he's on the same like class as these guys. I think Thiero and Conan Niederhauser are better prospects, but I think Brea is a better fit. So I feel like he would slot in a little bit better there. If you wanted to put him at the end of B, I guess. I feel like there's a very clear distinction between these 5 prospects and Koby Brea.
Can we do a B- tier? Like he got an 80 on his exam?
No. I feel like there's too much context of, if they get extra draft capital and trade back in here. I'm just looking at Koby Brea as a prospect.
If they pick Koby Brea at 32, I'll be pretty devastated.
Exactly, yeah.
Especially if like Kalkbrenner's still there or something. It's like, man, that could be a real need. But again, like, you know what you're getting. He's one of like the most elite shooters by all accounts. Like the No Ceilings draft guide raves about him as a historic shooter. The Athletic draft guide calls him, let me verbatim say what it says at the very end. Brea historically relevant as a shooter. It's no exaggeration to call Brea historically relevant as a shooter within the last 25 years of college basketball. So like he's a generational shooter.
Yes.
And it is an if, but if he's able to develop his body a little bit more and be a more physical capable defender, then he could be a real NBA rotation guy. But there's work to be done, no doubt.
For sure. Koby Brea finished the season shooting 43.5%, and so he played 5 seasons of college basketball. Actually, he played 4 at Dayton and 1 at Kentucky. Yes. He shot 49.8% his second junior season, his last season at Dayton, which is insane. Also, the context: Sam Hauser. Let me double check. Sam Hauser had a 43.9% career average in college. Koby Brea is 43.4, so it's pretty dead on. But let us know what you think of Koby Brea. Could be a potential Celtics, even undrafted guy. I think he'll probably get scooped up somewhere in the second round, but you never know what's going to happen. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and all that same thing.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you leave a like, comment, tell us what you think of Koby Brea. Tell us who else you'd like to see on the scouting reports here. We have 2 weeks as this drops until day 1 of the NBA draft. Make sure you subscribe because we will be pumping out more draft content and also Celtics content leading up to the draft and throughout the summer. Full pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps during the season are up the morning after each game. And other videos like these are up in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. You can find Jack and I on Spotify and Apple too. All pods and game recaps are up there regularly. So if you just want the audio versions, go ahead, follow. They will go right into your feed. Leave a 5-star review. We'd appreciate that very, very much. You can email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. We're reading them every single podcast. Again, you guys have been fantastic since the offseason started. We've got tons of mocks, trades, draft prospects that you guys want us to talk about. So anything that's on your mind, even silly stuff, go ahead, send it in, hbtcpod@gmail.com. Our socials are at How About the MCs for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook's the name of the podcast. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's at Jack's NBA. Mine's at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us. Bye.
Taco, come on. Taco.